What is up, Theology Nerds? This is Tripp, and you're listening to the Theology Nerd Throwdown, the best place to pull that geek out and get your nerd out. But if you're going to nerd out on a Friday morning, you don't only need to have the coolest chat room having a significant discussion about canning vegetables while Bo figures out how to use his mic. You also need to have your one, your very own bippity bop bop Bo Daddy.
Good morning, Vietnam. It is up in here. You know, this is the podcast that almost didn't happen this morning. Tripp, as you get older, some things stop working, and my computer is aging, and it's just stopped recognizing my microphone. And honestly, it's the first time that's ever happened, and so I feel a little embarrassed.
Is that what you always say?
Yeah, it is. It's my go-to.
Oh man.
I'm
just passing on all follow-up comments.
Tripp, you have matured so much since my early days of editing the podcast.
Yeah.
Before we started TNT, I used to edit the Homebrewed mainstream. And you have gotten so good at self-editing. I'm very impressed. I don't know if the people in your life in North Carolina recognize it, but online I recognize it.
Well, you know, I think there's a few features. One, that was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And two, I'm not a youth minister anymore. So like, you aren't on the reg.
Yeah.
Because people don't know this. An essential part of being a youth minister is
you have to say outlandish things.
A lot, and you have to walk up to every line and like not be oblivious to it, where they're laughing at you and they're like, I can't believe you said that, and you're like, what are you talking about? And then you pretend like you meant it literally or something like that. And then whatever goes on in adolescence, they're like, well, this guy's cool. He knows 4 guitar chords. He's incidentally funny.
Yeah,
but he's not cool enough to get the jokes. And they just keep coming right out of his mouth.
You are, in some sense, when you're a youth pastor, you are a stand-in some sense for an uncle, fatherly, parental figure. And part of it is sort of being clueless, but being just hip enough that you get that you don't get the joke. You know, like when 6-7 started, and I was like, all right, I feel like a youth pastor again. I don't know what this means, but I know it means something. But then you figured out, oh, that's the joke, right? So this is the 6-7 of podcasts.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I know you're driving today, but I wanted to give a shout out to a very fun series of emails I received.
Tell me. No, I love your emails. I actually wish you would give me access to your emails and I could respond to them for you, except that I don't return my own emails, so I would never get to it. But like in my mind, I have this little fun game that I play where I respond to your emails.
Oh, well, I can think of some I could forward to you and be like, I'll let Bo handle this one.
Yeah.
But there's a guy Well, we're not going to use his real name.
That's all you need to say. Because on the internet, there's a guy. You're like, oh, okay. I see where this is going.
Okay, but this is why it's funny, Bo. I had 3 emails from the same person before I woke up. Like I went to bed. There was no emails from this guy.
No way.
Wake up, 3 emails responding like to 3 different emails that he had gotten from Substack.
Okay.
So
wow.
This first one, this past week, the interview I did with Tony about his new book.
Oh no.
Came out.
The fiction book?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I recorded it after TNT last Friday.
No.
But since it came out, I was like, I'm going to try to put it out quick, right?
Okay.
So Tony and I on there, and I'm like smoking a cigar while I'm talking to him. I'm like, it's Friday.
Yeah.
Too bad.
It's Friday.
First email.
Friday. Gotta get down on Friday.
First email is this long complaint about how disrespectful I was to Tony to be smoking a cigar while I was talking to him.
As if Tony, people, you can't stand up for something that the person being interviewed enjoys. You can't take offense on someone's behalf.
No, now here it gets better. So all the emails, right, that were responding to that email are in one thread, right? So if you respond to this Substack email, all of them are in the order I get them in. All right. So then it's other people like, oh, thanks for letting me know about this. Oh, I love Rome. Oh, I went on one of the tours with Tony. Or people saying nice stuff about the interview, or someone was really worked up about Constantine,
Yeah.
Anyway, then this guy's on here again. I get to another email. That guy goes, I just turned the video off, and it's not nearly as annoying. I'm just listening to you now. I don't know why you put the video up there. It's distracting.
He was watching. He
sends 3 emails over the course of one podcast, but then there's others between it. So that he's like, I turned the email. You should tell people, because this is a great conversation. It reminds me of the time I went to Rome. Right. So then he's a small story. Now he gets towards the end of the podcast, and then he sends me another email. And you know what was in this one?
No, a cigar recommendation?
No. He said, you two sound really familiar with each other, and your chit chat sounded really close, and it reminded me of one of my friends, and I really enjoyed it. You should have him back on the podcast.
Oh wow!
But don't smoke a cigar next time. I ordered his book, and I was like,
oh wow, he ordered the book. Can you imagine, Tripp, if like the format, the expectation was that you typed emails while you listened to podcasts? Like, what if every human who listened to TNT or the Homebrew stream typed an email while they were listening? Can you imagine if that's what, like, if podcasts had evolved where you interacted with the host in real time during the podcast?
Yeah,
that would be insane.
It would be like the chat, but there's no one else there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, I will say sometimes, like, it's not the only time that's happened. It's just the only time with unsolicited advice where it's like, why are you? It's so disrespectful smoking a cigar. This is actually a good podcast if you turn the camera off. They'd be like, I really enjoyed it. You two are friends. It reminds me of this one friend from undergrad.
So I have so many questions about this person. Do you think this is the first homebrewed they had listened to?
I mean, I assume so, because
it sounds like they don't know what you do.
Yeah, no, I get Now, there are people, because I mean, there's like almost 80,000 people on the Substack, right?
Wow.
So there's some people that don't do podcasts, but have always taken the homebrewed classes.
Yeah.
And those are like more, class-like. They're serious.
Can we just be honest? Listen, I know that I'm a very affirming guy, like as an Enneagram 7 and whatever box you want to put me in. Like, I know I'm a very affirming guy. Can I just tell you something? Listen, in 2016, when I went to be the professor of theology at Portland Seminary, and I left the podcast, and you had just signed the was it a Fortress book deal?
Yeah.
We had 36 or 38,000 listeners. I thought that was pretty good. And I leave for 6 years to go do different stuff, be a professor, get back in local church ministry, all that stuff. I come back and you're over 50,000. COVID hits, and now you're up to 80. Tripp, this thing you have built is really incredible, bro. Honestly,
Well,
I'm more.
you say COVID back. I think it's because TNT came back.
Oh, that makes my heart feel good.
Or at least it makes me feel better about doing it.
That's hilarious.
Sometimes people, they were like, "Man, you and Bo do that thing like every day," and I was like, yeah. Certain people have personalities, so it's really hard to go like just hang out if you don't have an agenda or like are working on something.
Yeah.
And so that's how you get in my like right in my heart. There's a little Bo Daddy space, because I'm just like, I gotta have a little my little TNT fun. But yeah, dude, the replies to, so like I think there's whole groups of people that do the classes, but then when we switch to Substack, they just get all the emails. A lot are about classes or when I write essays or whatever. And
good grief.
Since it was Tony's book, I was like, I'm gonna send this to everyone.
I saw it.
And so then he gets the email and is probably like used to Tripp with Dom, or Tripp doing a class like the one I'm doing with Jorg Rieger soon.
Yeah.
That are a different tone than Tripp on the porch on a Friday afternoon with one of his friends smoking a cigar. And he's just like, one time I did a Q&A with Ilya.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was Ilya. Yeah. With doing a cigar. Well, I had a cigar because it was a Friday. Fridays, if I schedule something after you, what am I going to do if I go inside right now?
Right.
And
no.
I'm like, what a downhill for the Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And
once you start, you can't stop.
It's not like I could tell the person complaining, like, you clearly haven't hung out with Ilya in a hot tub and seen what, like, this nun knows how to party, right? And so I'm like, there was, but this one was more like a grandmotherly tone telling me what will happen when I grow up. And I wanted to just be like, man, I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Like, you're not talking to a teenager.
Right.
Like, and sometimes like the other favorite email that I always wonder what has to be going on in you to send is when you send a long email explaining how I could really transform the podcast if I took advice to be like your podcast that has 6 episodes and probably 50 listeners. Like, where they're like, they got the excitement of just starting it, and they're like, you should do it like me. And I know they mean well, like they probably liked my podcast and were like, oh, I'm gonna start one. Oh, you could do this or something like that. But unsolicited advice.
This is so fun. I know we're still in the banter phase. I have two things I got to talk to you about. The first is, if anybody in our audience can write jingles, I think it would be great if somebody could do a parody of the Miley Cyrus song, "It's my podcast and I can do what I want," like that. And And then when it talks about cigars to say, and I can't stop and I won't stop. If somebody could write that song via AI or something, I would love a parody song for Tripp as the podcaster. It's my podcast. I can do what I want. I just think that would be great. Second thing, there's a person, a fellow clergy person. She is the pastor I respect the most. Her name's Beth Estock. I'm the oldest child in my family. I didn't have an older sister. She's like a couple years older than me. I love her so much. I respect her. She is my, like, if I need wisdom, this is who I go to. So she was recently in North Carolina, Tripp. This is why I'm bringing this up to you. And she was leading a retreat with Elaine Heath, who I know through practical theology, through my doctoral work.
Isn't she at Duke?
Is she at Duke?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, I don't know why I would know the name then.
Elaine Heath. Okay. Who I have like an academic crush on, by the way. So if ever she shows up in an edited work, I'm like, oh, this is the first thing I'm reading. Anyway, they led a retreat, and it was about the feminine divine. And so I texted Beth this week and said, hey, how'd that thing go? And she gave me this incredible report. It sounded absolutely incredible. And at the end, so second text message after the big report on the weekend, she says, I'm really getting into Ilya. And I'm like, that's interesting. Does she know that I've met this person and that she is a really popular figure at an event that happens in the fall that I go to? And she didn't. So it was like she just brought it up out of the blue. Didn't even know I knew who this person was. I don't think. But isn't that
said,
like,
do you want to come to Theology Beer Camp? You could meet Ilya.
That's
what you said.
Say that, but I'll send that text as soon
as
we're done.
Elaine is in North Carolina.
Okay.
At Duke.
Okay.
And so next time Theology Beer Camp's in the Southeast, she should come.
And if I could sit on stage with her, I have like 50 questions.
Oh, 50, eh?
Yeah.
You don't even know what I've stuck you doing.
Oh no, what am I doing at beer camp?
Okay, so we're the main stage is being set up like a radio station from back in the day. But it's in an apocalyptic wasteland.
Hell yeah.
It is TBC FM, broadcasting from the wasteland.
That's what I'm talking about.
And Sarah Heath and I, who's helps plan stuff and what happens on the main stage.
She might be, by the way, she might be the coolest person at camp.
She said
she is just.
Do you think Bo can do radio voice? Like announcer radio voice? And I said, can he? There was a whole bit back in the day.
Oh my goodness.
On TNT where we would go start talking about a topic and then Bo would go, in a world.
in a world. Yes. That's my favorite. That is so funny. If that's what I'm doing, I get to do radio voice.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna do some real things, but
that's really funny.
We're gonna make radio ads for like the sponsors and some of the podcasts and stuff like that to play. And you remember John Gill from Claremont?
Yeah,
he's gonna be the DJ in the recording studio, and then I'm going to be sending a survey out in a week or so to everyone coming. And one of the things is they can like record them like calling into the radio show. And then we use them with all the speakers where like Lori, we know Lori will do it. So where she's like, hey, this is Lori on my porch smoking a cigar out in Florida. And I wanted to know. And then you do the question. And there are all these different little bits and stuff. I've been, ever since I got that email telling us how we should do a sports talk radio show,
Yep.
and then the Stranger Things theme thing, and then there was the artist Trevor, who did a lot of the art for Stranger Things, is doing a special art piece for camp. That in that last season of Stranger Things, you know, the radio station was one of the main locations, and then I'm like, we should use the radio station. Also, having a whole film crew come to film the stuff that happens on the stage, so that we can get it edited and not just be like normally how a church streams it. I mean, it is streamed like that for people live, but we're going to edit it. So anyway,
Tripp,
those are what Tripp's been up to this week.
I am so into this. Listen, I'm going to add a layer, okay? I'm going to do a morning zoo component from time to time where I'm like, hey, everybody, 80% of people don't like mayonnaise. Do you know, and like that kind of thing. And then we're going to be like, what's your favorite breed of dog? And we're just going to do like a morning zoo thing, and we'll take like a poll where people can either text it in or somehow we're going to do it. But I want to add a morning zoo component to it.
Oh, man. Okay.
Just complete silliness.
So, one of the things I have someone working on, I'm not exactly sure. Okay. So there's this, I have to be really vague because I'm not sure I'm supposed to talk about it, but I'm a consultant, helper or something. There's an official name on this, like AI and religion project.
AI and religion?
Yes. It does lots of cool. It's going to be really cool for like doing all sorts of weird research stuff.
Yeah.
That where you'll be able to test certain social science theories of religion, transformation, language stuff. Okay. But, I asked if we could try using a certain protocol thing on it to make a little quiz.
Yes.
All right. So I can't really explain how it works, Bo. But at the end result of what this thing I'm a part of does, it pulled every podcast from all the podcasts that are coming to Theology Beer Camp, transcribes them, does this, it won't matter to you, series of language analysis and topic analysis. And I'll be able to do quizzes about what all the God Pods did in the past year.
Is amazing. Oh, God bless AI. I know there's a lot of downsides behind the scenes, but when it does fun stuff, that's, I mean.
So I'm thinking, and this is, you in the chat can tell me, I'm thinking for the opening, right? I will be able to pull.
This is wild.
Like I'm thinking of doing State of the God Pods address for the opening night talk. You know
that. Yeah, that's amazing. Can I tell you a canning story real quick?
Yeah, you missed all the cannings while you were trying to get your mic to work.
Apparently, the chat was.
But okay, everyone should say, what is your favorite thing to can? Because
tobacco.
Okay,
I love a can of pipe tobacco.
Yeah, there's that. I have one.
Peterson specifically.
I have a can of McLeod's Christmas from the year Elgin was born, still sealed. Because I'm like, at some point, whenever you are actually going to smoke a pipe, that's when I'm going to open it.
Oh my goodness!
My brother gave it to me when he was born.
Wow!
That Christmas, because he was born in the beginning of December. So I've had it ever since then.
I remember this. That's even better than the thing I gave Elgin, which was 6 Warhammer armies. Do you remember that?
Elgin? Oh, dude, no, Elgin, you know, just got done with his first week of school at UNC, and he's like, Dad, I need to come home this weekend. Here's what he said. One, do you know everyone in this dorm stays up till 2 a.m.? How are you supposed to sleep and study? It's loud. I just want to come home and sleep and get some Warhammer. There's a Warhammer club here.
Shut up. No way.
Okay, I was already
amazing.
jealous. I was already jealous that he now has a life where you just go to cool lectures and read books. You know? And this past week, I heard from Will, he went to the Lutheran Campus Ministry group, where their new campus minister, Katie, who is a Luther Seminary alumni. So he's already found a cool, not crazy Christian group and a Warhammer group.
This is awesome.
And he's reading Tocqueville's Democracy in America, and I'm like, what kind of glorious week is this?
Wow.
Anyway,
dude.
Back to Warhammer.
That's an epic first week.
Yeah.
I have a different college story I got to tell you. My tattoo artist that did my whole Lord of the Rings sleeve, he lasted exactly 2 days in college. He got there and got through the morning, went to lunch in the afternoon or like at lunchtime, realized somehow in his conversations at the table he was at that no one knew the difference between a red dragon and a green dragon, and quit college because he realized he didn't belong there. That's a true story. He didn't last 2 days in college because he didn't find his people.
Yeah, it is a.
So then he became an apprentice at a tattoo parlor.
It can be, dude. I know it's always hard to. Different people are better than others at like putting themselves out there to find people.
Yeah.
Ross, we got a rooster, and Homeboy it's
loud.
Yeah, this is funny. So like, I'm on a deck and there's probably 5 feet before I'm off it. And he keeps putting his head out, looking at me, crowing, and then going back under. And
maybe it's his first week of chicken college and he's trying to sleep and he's looking at you like, hey, you're being kind of loud.
I wish he got up at 9. Whoever wakes up first, whichever adult wakes up first, lets all the chickens out. And Homeboy, like all the hens are just gathered by the door, and he's got a strut. Like, did you ever see that movie Rock-a-Doodle?
No,
but it's a Disney cartoon, probably C-list, but he has a Rock-a-Doodle strut. And
some people have said
Ross Pepperoni.
Strut. Yeah,
you do.
Ross-a-Rooney?
Ross Pepperoni, but I just call him Pep most of the time. But his little danglies look like 2 big pepperonis, and that's why the kids named him.
Impressive.
That. But impressive. we do have a question from the chat.
Okay, is it about canning?
No, what's the weirdest email or complaint you've gotten from a congregant? So just let that brood while you tell us. Because my favorite canning, green beans. I love green beans, how Southerners can green beans. And by that, I mean, it's 80% green beans, 20% bacon.
I did not see that coming. If you had paused your sentence and said, finish this sentence, I could not. I was going to say onions.
Oh, there's probably onion in it. But
that's so funny.
When you open up a big can of green beans and then you're like, it tastes like bacon, but it's technically a vegetable, then I just feel like that's winning.
Canning story. Tripp, I don't know if you believe in God. I do, personally. But as a United Methodist pastor, I can't always assume that people believe in God. About 50%, I would say about 40% of Methodists are pretty ambiguous about the thing. Like, they would like Barry Taylor and Pete Rollins sort of take on God. I don't think 40% of United Methodists are halfway to radical theology. Come on, they're more closer to be moral therapeutic deists than a radical theologian. Okay, I'm going to go John Shelby Spong. They're like where John Shelby Spong would be, or Marcus Borg, even conservative. Marcus Borg's a panentheist. Yeah. All I'm saying is liberal deconstruction is very different than evangelical deconstruction. So, like, they would love, the comedian, is it Pete Holmes? He is a comedian. He misquotes Barry Taylor in the most beautiful way. He says, God, the word God, is a language blanket that we drape over the mystery to give it shape. That's Pete Holmes' misquote of Barry Taylor. But when I misquoted that in a sermon last year, I used the Pete Holmes misquote. I got more positive feedback at coffee hour than I've ever gotten on anything I've ever preached.
Yeah, the Pete Holmes version is like the Richard Rohr interpretation of Barry Taylor.
Dude, we are such nerds. This is embarrassing. Like, I know I have friends around the country who listen to TNT who are going to text me as soon as this comes out because they're like, you and Tripp are so nerdy that you can name comedians, deceased historians, theologians, and radical philosophers in the same sentence.
Well, it is called the Theology Nerd Throwdown.
Nerds are middle name, baby.
Yeah,
we
nerd out with our geeks out,
dude. I'm nerding right now.
Yeah, you are.
All right, back to canning. I'm gonna get this story out eventually. So I don't know if you believe in God. I do, and here's how I think she works. God's spirit bubbles up through the crust of our human society, our connectedness, relationality, in unpredictable ways. And it's like, I used to live in a town called Saratoga Springs. It had 10 springs, was the Native Americans called it 10 springs. It's where they brought their wounded warriors to soak in the springs. It had healing properties. Some of them you can drink, some of them you soak in, some are hot, some are cold. I love the springs so much. And to this day, I still think that that's how Sophia works. The divine wisdom bubbling up through the crust of humanity. So like the springs, it brings some of our elements with it, right? Which is why some smell like sulfur and some, have been purified because they come through the sand. I think this is the perfect analogy for how God works in the world. Okay. So you know that I've started 30 minutes north of here, a community center recently. And one of the things I do when I first get a hold of a church building is I take out all the pews. I just gut the place to make it a blank space, democratized, decentered, flattened, so that anyone can use it and we see what emerges. I'm an emergent theologian. Okay. So this is how I do it. You're never going to, can you hear how animated I am right now? You're never going to guess. So the 3 rooms upstairs, one's going to be a food pantry, and we're going to have 2 food pantries in there. One with the Idaho food bank, which you have to take demographics for so that they know who they're serving. But because of the population that we're working with, we're going to have a second food pantry next to it where no one needs to give us any information, not citizenship, not family size, not ethnography, nothing. They don't have to give us anything. They can just get food. But the Idaho Food Bank will give us lots of food if people are, according to the census data, are willing to give us that information. Okay, so that's one room. Second room, clothing closet. They give away literally 600 bags of clothes a week. It's one of the coolest things ever.
How many people even live in? It's a small town.
Yeah,
600 bags of clothes. That's
Tripp. At our open house, August 1st, we had 750 people come through, and we gave away 800 bags of clothes. Wow. This is a poor rural community, bro.
I don't know why I'm thinking, but a day. I'm just sitting there.
Oh, a week.
Okay. If a day I was sitting there going, you know how many bags of clothes that is in a year? Like, where are people donating?
600 a week. Okay. Sorry. I may have missaid it. You may have misheard it. I don't know, but 600 a week.
We'll check the transcript, okay. Bo.
Have AI look into that, will ya? Then there's a big room. Okay. That's upstairs, and it's just a meeting room. I kept 8 pews that are on the walls around the space, and there's 4 tables in there. Anyone can use the room. And what used to be the stage for the church is a bike showroom. We keep bikes lined up there. Anyone can take any bike, okay? Downstairs, there's a kitchen, which we are in the process of making into a commercial kitchen, and a dining room with a tile floor where people can have quinceañeras and family gatherings, family reunions, whatever they want, okay? So, big room upstairs. We put out the word and said, give us ideas of what you would do if you had this room. Like if you could do something in this room, what would you do? And Tripp, we're going to have English as second language classes. We're going to have a veteran support group. We're going to have a recovery group, addiction recovery, a sewing class. And then somebody said, well, we can't have this upstairs in the big room, but would you let us use the kitchen and dining room downstairs for a canning class?
Oh.
And I said, well, obviously, yes, but how would you do that? Like, I can't picture the logistics, right? So this person, she walks me through. All right, I literally have goosebumps right now because God's Spirit is in this. She currently can only teach 4 to 5 people at a time in her own kitchen. But it turns out in a rural agricultural community that is not affluent, canning is not like a posh hobby. It's not bougie canning, right? Because I do bougie canning.
It's not a lockdown hobby.
Right. I picked it up in COVID lockdown. 2020, I bought a canner. You know what I'm saying? That's not this. This is if I can, like in mason jars, which I know you use for bourbon, but other people use for sustenance. Tripp, I did not know that in poor rural communities, because I've always lived in big cities, right? This is how people get through the winter. So we're going to be able, she thinks she can teach 30 people at a time. She's going to have classes in the downstairs, and she has all the supplies. She just needs space. So we're going to write a grant because of food insecurity is the one thing you can still get grants for these days in our current administration, Doge overlord. You can still get grants for food insecurity. We are going to teach canning classes. Dude, if nothing else comes out of this community center, right, in the 4 years that I have it, if nothing else, we're going to teach people to can, and they're going to feed their families through the winter. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Dude.
You're like a
honestly,
real Christian this year, Bo.
I might finally be a Christian. I've always tried. I'm just not very good at it. Yeah. It doesn't come to me naturally. And so that's why I'm a Methodist. Because I honestly, it's so much easier than following Jesus because you get a membership card. And for me, it's like having a gym.
Of perfection.
Well, they do say that.
Paper.
They do. But for me, it's like a gym membership. The reason you get one is so you don't have to go and work out, because that's why you have a gym membership, so you don't have to work out. That's for me, that's being a Christian is so that I don't actually have to follow Jesus. Hey, Tripp, can I just say, I think you're being a little disrespectful for smoking a cigar during this conversation.
Oh, Bo.
We are having too much fun. Man, I feel like I've been shot out of a
I
cannon
know.
this morning.
You know what else has been shot out of a cannon? I don't know yet. I haven't heard how Elgin's Warhammer game went, but you know.
Is it fantasy or
Fantasy.
40K?
Why?
Perfect.
I know
perfect.
more people like 40K.
I know it's
I'm
why?
like, why do you want a space orc when you can have real ones?
Right. Or a space marine. Like, get the hell out of here.
Marines already do enough. Probably too much.
Can I just tell you, though, the mechs in 40K, I have no interest in playing 40K, but I do buy the models because those mechs are amazing models.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
They look cool.
Okay.
Like, you know, when you go to the store and they're all painted and stuff.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, we are 40 minutes in to banter. Can I circle back to what we've been talking about the last 2 weeks?
Dude, you're driving today, so
Am I?
Yeah.
Am I, Tripp? I don't feel like
Don in the chat.
I'm drunk driving. I can tell you that.
Mention the you said Goosebumps, and Byung-Chul Han, who we've been talking about the last couple weeks. There's this really cool line where he talks about the difference between like an infosphere, right, where you have set pieces of extracted data on something and they constantly compile, that it lacks the spaciousness of living towards possibility. And then he said, AI never has goosebumps. And he uses a reflection on like all the different kinds of experiences where you have goosebumps, and he calls it like Geist or spirit, right? He's playing with Hegel, right? Like goosebumps, because goosebumps show up, and they tend to be in moments of like anticipation, where there's like cresting possibilities on something, right? So that one conversation, she lays out how many people it would, then you connect the dots to all the people in the community it could help, and it's like all those possibilities are sitting there, and it's like goosebumps. And anyway, there's some Byung-Chul Han moment.
Most people stopped playing with their Hegel after the Holocaust.
I love Hegel.
Are
you trying to derail things though?
Yes. And by the way, I made an offhanded comment. Don't drink and drive, people. I made light of drunk driving. You said I'm driving. I said I'm drunk driving. That's not funny. Don't drink.
I had a couple weeks ago, you mentioned that TNT would be really different if we did it on Friday nights.
Oh my gosh.
With beverages. I feel like it would have to we'd have to set it in advance, because it'd be no fun without the chat room. But also I know the editing demands would be very different.
Oh, we'd have to double Josh's pay.
Like, look, dude.
Yeah, it got a little unruly there.
I already know this is gonna be one of those moments where I go, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to leave a lot of this in here, because the intro is 40-something minutes long.
Tripp, the reason I appreciate that we do this on Friday mornings, for me, it's a coffee cast. So Friday evenings, if let's say we were going to record at like 7, right, or 5, my problem is I wouldn't start the homebrew at 5, right? I would pregame, because I know myself pretty well at 53. I would pregame and then hit cruising altitude, and it would be, honestly, it would be off the rails instantly.
Look, I understand there's a subtle art to pre-gaming. And
no, it's an acquired skill.
Oh,
do you know what help? By the way, do you know what helps you hit cruise control? What? Stout ice cream floats.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I was at an event last year, and they had this ice cream machine and this table full of stouts that people had brought. And you could pour stout into a mug over your vanilla ice cream. It was the wildest thing I've
says
ever
just what Jesus wanted.
tasted. Or
Jesus
it was the
wants
best
canning classes,
canning classes,
and floats at Theology.
Stout floats. It was the best imbibing I have ever done.
Oh,
it was incredible.
It's on your calendar for October 8th to 10th. You too can come hang out with all of our friends at Theology Beer Camp.
Hey, look, it's
there
Ilya.
she is. There she is.
There she is.
All right.
Hey, I have things I want to talk to you about.
I want to talk to you about them probably. Okay.
No, you will. You will. The way my brain works, whenever I hear a new idea, instantly I go into the catalog and anything that has resonance, I instantly put in conversation with something I've heard or read before. That's just how my brain works. It's probably why I didn't finish my dissertation and I timed out during COVID and I'm ABD, is I'm too much of a generalist and I just couldn't do it. And it's a character flaw. My wife has lost so much respect for me. It's bad. Okay. But the upside of it is that, like, if you and I were sitting across the table from anybody and they brought up anything at all, a pop song, something they saw on the internet, something they did at church, something going wrong in their family, my brain goes and just finds something that I've read or heard before and then pairs it. So that's just how my brain works, okay? So last couple of weeks we've been talking and I've had 4 books. Here we go. 4 books that every time we hang up, you and I go upstairs into my library and I have a study upstairs. So this is my podcast studio. I have a study upstairs. I won't go up and pull a book. I want to talk to you about 4 books today from the past. And I want you to tell me how they are in conversation with the stuff we've been talking about. Okay? Book number 1. The Transparent Society by David Brin. It is a 1999 book. The subtitle is Will Technology Force Us to Choose Between Privacy and Freedom? Okay? The Transparent Society. In the opening of this book, this is 1999, he tells a story about Cincinnati, Ohio. Had a very high crime rate. So they did an experiment similar to what people are talking about with flock cameras now, where they put up all of these security cameras and crime rate dropped precipitously. And when it was time to renew the contract, people overwhelmingly chose their safety over their freedom and privacy. Okay. So I read this book. And then September 11th, the attacks of September 11th, 2001 happened. And I don't know if you remember this because you were in college. The churches were packed the following weekend. So Tripp, at the time, we were planting a church in upstate New York. We were renting the gym at an elementary school. And not only did we have 250 people in a room that comfortably sits 200, people were standing along the back wall, and they kept coming in because we had Saturday night church back then because we didn't have our own building. And so people came up after the worship band was done, and they sat on the stage. So I preached Tripp standing in a room that was filled to capacity, people lining the back wall, and people sitting on the stage. And I was probably a 28-year-old pastor, I'm guessing. And I preach a message that I sort of question myself on now from the Minor Prophets about how our two towers have fallen: freedom and safety. And I thought it was the best message I've ever preached. It was the most timely. It was prophetic. It was pastoral. It had some therapeutic elements to it. It was about trusting God. I thought it was really good. I got more negative feedback and nasty emails. I lost a third of my congregation that week because people just wanted to be comforted. And I was told, we're your sheep and we came to you as a shepherd and you hit us with your staff. So when you go through something like that, it gets logged in not just your brain, your memory, but in your nervous system, right? Because it's a little traumatic. So this damn book has been my conversation partner for 26 years now. And when you and I have been talking the last couple of weeks, I just keep thinking to myself, we have fully made the exchange at this point. We are in a hostage negotiation with AI, the algorithm, and the internet. And we have fully given in to the terrorist demands. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
You're
like doy.
Understood. Now, and here's two things. One, with the reference to Han, but in he talks about the way in which by digitizing, self-tracking, optimizing all these different elements, right, from our biological bodies to flock cameras, surveillance growth. Algorithms have a kind of surveillance capacity for interiority. It ends up turning everything into a resource. And what do we do with resources, right? We extract them and use them. And so there's this kind of move with supported by the rhetoric of safety towards what he calls undead life, where this desire or mania for survival, I think is the way he talks about it, represses death, but in doing so, it represses life itself. And so we move into this kind of performance type of zombie, right? And one of the quotes that he said, in order to survive, humans are abolishing themselves. They may succeed in becoming immortal, but only at the expense of human life itself. We shall lose life in return. We shall achieve immortality at the price of life, both in the way surveillance creeps into the individual and life in the way it comes to shape our relations with each other. And when it goes to the social, right, when we've undermined the ability to trust and cooperate with the other, despite them remaining a mystery, right, the bonds of social trust and cooperation, when they disappear, what is it that makes you able to trust? Is complete surveillance. As surveillance increases, the hard work of learning to love and relate and cooperate with your neighbor atrophies. And then what do you want? We're with fear. Oh, we need to track these people. We have to create more safety. We have to do all these kinds of things. And part of what he said is like, yeah, like not only do you not have secrets, you share them all, right? And when the kind of mechanisms that humans have used to generate sociality for so long atrophy, then it makes perfect sense right? All the spaciousness for your freedom has been extracted already.
Wow.
Like, you don't have a private and a public life anymore, right? Even what signals honesty is utter transparency under the terms of the authenticity ideology, right? And people want and expect to have the fullness of you available. And then the state, like, and we have these weird workarounds, right? Like, because unlike the rest of the West, we have these weird things in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution that prohibit it. So our workaround is like, well, personally, the state can't run Palantir or flock cameras, but we can let a techno billionaire run it, and then we retrieve information from it. Or, we can't like compel someone to give us all their tracking data, but if it does exist somewhere, then we could search it, if we're looking for something good. And then so like when you think of the like one of the theses, if I remember correctly, from the Transparency Society, right, is like the continued choice for safety is the justification or rationalization of our escape from freedom. We'll choose safety over freedom, and it feels rational. The other element of that is we think safety correlates with control. That we want control. And one of the elements of modernity that's continued to grow is our ability to control things, whether we turn neighbors into human resources, nature into natural resources, right? All of this sense of control. Science, like, there's tons of great things about it, but it also gives us perspective that we should be able to control and manage and determine. And when control becomes kind of fetishized, then the uncontrollable is seen as a threat. And part of what Heart Mott Rosa does in some of the reading that was, inspiring the last 2 weeks, is to go, the uncontrollable is the site where you become human. The uncontrollable, whether it's being seized by nature or moved, right, by the potential community that exists at a canning room, or holding your kid for the first time, or reconciliation between friends, or go to see an artist and then they sing a song, and the emotive register of their song allows you to become aware of pain you're carrying or joy you haven't expressed, right? All those kind of sites of uncontrollability. Rosa has this sense that there's like the complete control eliminates the potential for resonance, the vibrating wire we talked about last time, and complete uncontrollability leaves something apart from our existence. And so there's this, I think I used the image last time of a violin, right, where it's semi-controllable. There's both the affective, one's own openness towards whatever it is, and the receptive or effective side of it. And the happening is the vibrating wire between it. And anyway, so I think the Transparent Society resonance, there's a vibrating wire between
amazing.
It. So,
oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this, because, like, just honestly, the last 10 minutes would be an amazing essay. Oh, and then you could have your AI voice read it and put it out on Substack.
The AI Tripp.
The AI Tripp.
If you edit out your ums.
All right, second book. This one is called Faster by James Gleick.
Say it in the mic.
Faster by James Gleick. And written around the same time, 99. One of the most interesting books I've ever read. It's just about how everything is speeding up and the acceleration of nearly everything. So a lot of people know, like when it comes to microchips, like there's this law that every so often, you'll go from 8 megabytes to 16, and as technology progresses, you'll get to 32, and then you get to 64, right? And it doubles every, I forget what the rule is. But right now in a technological society, because we've moved from an agrarian society to an industrial society to an information technological society. So everything sort of is affected by this right now. Okay. My favorite part of the book, and I don't know if you know this, Tripp. Do you know why skyscrapers have never gotten over a certain height? So whether it's even in Abu Dhabi, the tallest skyscraper, so around the world, they're essentially capped at a certain height. Do you know why that is?
Somebody has to go up there when they're building it? Oh.
No. So I thought it would be something about steel or cement.
Wind?
Right? The capacity, wind, right? Earthquakes. No, you know what it is? It's a very, very small problem. It's the human eardrum.
Oh.
So it turns out, and this is like stuff you can't make up. In order to get a human from the ground floor up, say 136 stories, or however far they're going to go, you're going to run into a problem. The elevator can only go so fast without bursting the human eardrum. The only way to compensate for that is to have compression, like a vacuum chambers. So like what you would do on an airplane, right? When they compress the air. But in order to go up above a certain, let's say 154 stories, in order to get up there, the amount of elevator shaft you would have to have in comparison to decompression begins to eat away at the usability of the skyscraper. So the amount of livable space, if it was apartments, or rentable space, if it's for commerce, starts to shrink to the point that it goes negative and becomes like not viable, because the compression would take up so much, the decompression would take up so much space in order to compensate for the climbing of elevation in a way that the human eardrum can tolerate. So skyscrapers, because they're built for humans, can only be a certain height because of the tiny, tiny evolution inside our ears as it adjusts to pressure. Here's why this becomes important to me. When humans first learned to sit on the backs of horses, we ran into a problem. So this is in the book too. The human eye evolved, or was created, depending on what part of the country you live in.
Or both and.
Oh, both and. Okay. Yeah. Came to be. The human eye came to be. We're pretty good up to about 26 to 30 miles an hour. We can still process what's coming at our face. Well, a horse can run faster than that. So when we're sitting on the back of a horse, we cannot react faster than the branch that the horse just ran under, and it hits us in the face. Humans have built-in limitations. It's not because of the fall. It's not because of original sin. It's just a biological reality that we can only process things at a certain speed. So
you have to admit that would be crazy if the serpent was like, I gotta trick these fools. That way they don't just get horses and use them too easy.
So the reason I bring this up because once bicycles came in, one of the problems is humans can't react fast enough to obstacles when they're going downhill on a bike. So you're very vulnerable to accidents, right? And I love bicycles. So this all is an analogy for me, sort of a framing metaphor. Tripp, I think we may have gotten to the point in our society in the 21st century where our technological horse is going faster than our eardrum or our eyeball can process. And I think we're going too fast, and humans as a society and as individuals, families, I don't think we're not built. We haven't evolved to go as fast as we're going, and it's why we're getting hit in the face and tumbling over the handlebars.
Oh, okay. So here's what pops in my head that we talked about is like Rose's theory of acceleration. Because for him, acceleration is not just like things getting faster, but like a systemic process where it's like defined by an increase in the quantity per unit of time. And one of the things, I mean, he gives these 3 different areas. The first being technological acceleration, right? That the analogy kind of easily fits for, where the intentional speeding up of goal-directed processes like transportation or communication or production. And while we should, if we're doing transportation, communication, and production faster, that should lead to an abundance of free time because tasks take less. Paradoxically, it creates time scarcity, right? It's not like the technological acceleration correlates with an increase of freedom and time availability, right? And so it's going. And then when that's the case in a competitive marketplace, not adopting technologies that speed up means you just get left behind if you don't adopt it, right? So that's how you get 70% of our country being like, can we stop them data centers? No, you get some billionaire telling a bunch of college kids about AI and they boo them. But it's not like if you're in a competitive context, then you can't really opt out in most fields because you'll just be left behind and you'll get consumed, right? And so,
God damn it.
And then he goes and says, the same thing's true about the acceleration of our pace of life. There's this subjective feeling of time pressure and stress, and the objective kind of increase in the number of action episodes that you're supposed to accomplish in a unit of time. And so people react to time scarcity by condensing actions. Like think of how long our lunch time was at school compared to how long it is now.
I couldn't go to school now.
We're going to get rid of, just in the school day, you end up eliminating breaks. You end up multitasking, all these kinds of things. And
Tripp, without lunch, recess, or PE, I wouldn't have gotten through elementary school.
Well, that's because you were pre-Ritalin. Now, why create a flourishing environment for people growing up when you can give them drugs?
Drugs. We need more drugs.
And then the third place that he lifts up is acceleration of social change. That this even functions in the same way. Think here, like the increasing rate of decay of action-orienting knowledge and social structures. And he's a sociologist, but like action-orienting knowledge, how you negotiate your social space. Now, Best example, and for in mainline Protestants, if you look at the edgy mainline Protestants in different parts of the country, they look different. If you go think of our coastal city mainline congregations, they have more colors on their pride flag.
Those are my people.
Yeah. And now then you go to a different area and they're like, man, I just figured out I thought everyone, you're born this way and we welcome everyone because God loves them, and now we got people changing teams. You can just imagine people like, saying stuff like that and feeling overwhelmed, right? Because the change, social change is moving so fast that you have this pressure of like, even just to stay in your group, you have to adopt, right? And so much of our social cultural stuff is driven by certain parts of the country and certain demographics. It moves. And so there's a sociologist called Herman Luba who talks about, he has this concept called the contraction of the present. And the present is defined as the time span in which the horizon of experience and the horizon of expectation coincide, right? Where the way in which you're experiencing and living in the world, there's compatibility with your expectation for it. And in late modernity, that span shrinks. Like how fast the worldview orientation structure that you developed and walk into gets out of date. Things become obsolete faster, and then the future becomes less predictable, while it will change faster, and what happens if you don't adapt. Then you become the odd one in the social group, culture group, those kinds of things. And so for him, what you see right in that technological acceleration exists. It has correlates both about the pace of one's own life, the pace of social change and stuff like that. And that's what he means by dynamic stabilization, that you stay stable with that increasing speed in all these different dimensions. And what happens is you get temporal disintegration, and the temporality of late modernity of acceleration generates alienation. And in the good life, which theoretically, if you're in the West, is the primary starting point for philosophy and wisdom traditions, a good life requires temporal integration across all three levels of time that one experiences, like your everyday time, your biographical time, like your narrative arc of your life, and historical time, like the larger collective movement of society. And when alienation occurs at these different levels, they fracture. Like, for example, a person's daily frantic actions of everyday time may no longer contribute to a coherent life narrative, your biographical time, and nor do they seem to fit into meaningful progression of history, like historical time. So the subject feels frozen in time, unable to connect to the past, and unable to connect that past to the future. And that's where burnout comes from, or this loss of self-efficacy. And you end up where you're you end up at a place where think of social change, intergenerational, every generation ends up giving a whole nother frame for how you orient yourself in the world. Go back in time to my grandparents' relationship to their grandparents,
right?
And there's real continuity. Go back to the Middle Ages, and you got 7-8 generations of continuity, right? You're literally in the same workshop that your great grandparents were in, right? And so this temporalization of time leads to what he calls situational identity, and says look, what ends up happening is we become drifters or players who must be flexible, always ready to change direction instantly. And that kind of demand for adapting to constant acceleration across these levels detemporalizes life. You're always at the point of the moment with the anxiety and alienation of knowing you could be left behind. That there are demands at the technological, social, and personal level on what has to happen to find a space in the world.
Wow.
And that is his like big theory of alienation connected to that the demand of faster or acceleration or dynamic stabilization is his fun word.
Damn, dude, that was a great explanation. I'm really glad I'm asking these questions. All right, my next one is a two-parter. In 1981, French philosopher Jean Baudrillard wrote Simulacra and Simulation. It is one of the most important works in sort of postmodern philosophy. He came up with the idea of hyperreality. You think of Disneyland. He loves Disneyland. By that, I mean he hates Disneyland. And
you're going to trigger Evan in the chat.
It's the happiest place on earth, but it's all plastic. Even the trees are plastic, according to Baudrillard. So I freaking love Jean Baudrillard. And the idea of simulacra and simulation, I reference it, I mean, on a weekly basis because some fake shit comes up and I have to like explain to people that it's either simulation or stimulation. It's a facsimile. It's a Xerox of a Xerox. You can't tell the original. I have to explain this shit all the time. Okay. So, because we live in the hyper real, right? Like, I mean, just think of reality TV, but they're the most fabricated situations. It's the least real thing on TV, which anything on TV isn't real anyway, right? Like the whole thing
that they're scripted, you know, that they essentially are poor actors with scripts posing as reality. Like when we started watching Road Rules and those kind of shows,
the real world,
now everyone's running their own real world.
Yeah.
For their
on TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean, the influencers, right? We live in the simulation. We are the simulacra, right? Like I have so many examples of this horse shit. Like last week I brought up, you can create like EDM music. You can create something digitally that has never existed outside of the binary code, right? So you can hear drums and voices of a choir and everything, but there's never physically been drums or a choir. It's just electronic pulses, right? And then it is uploaded as a bit file and transmitted on the internet as an MP3. Somebody downloads it into their app. And right, it's never existed in the world outside of the binary code. Okay, so we live in the simulacra. So I Google, Tripp. You ready for this? I Google, does Han ever quote Baudrillard? Okay. And something really interesting came up. So I have a confession for you, Tripp. I can probably count on one hand the times that I have felt dumb as an adult. Okay. I don't often feel stupid.
Well, Bo.
Because I keep myself in safe spaces where
I was about to say
no.
I think the podcast
is part
of my adventure of faking it.
No.
I'm just like
I'm a master.
That's exactly where I was going in this.
I'm a master of faking it. Yeah. I'm essentially an improv theologian. I just, whatever you say, I say yes. And, I just, to keep it rolling. Okay. By the way, one of the only times, I'll tell you 2 times I felt dumb as an adult. One time, when you talk to a person who's been in the military or whose spouse is currently serving in the military, they use so many acronyms. And if you don't know the difference between a colonel and a captain or the ICU MC, PDF. Like, they use so many acronyms. I can't even follow a story. I feel the same when I'm talking to people who are doctors, like in the medical community. Their shorthand and internal language I feel dumb. The other time I felt dumb is when I first became woke. I didn't have the right verbiage. I had the right heart, but not the language. And I said some of the dumbest stuff. I mean, and God bless my feminist friends. They would correct me in the most helpful and gentle way because they knew I was trying to be woke. And I just wasn't very good at it. I wasn't well practiced. But anyway, all of that is to say, I Googled, does Han ever quote Baudrillard? And Tripp, I would like to read for you what Google said. And then I need you to explain it to me because I don't know what the F is going on. Okay? You ready? Han explicitly references and quotes Jean Baudrillard, most notably in his breakthrough essay, The Burnout Society. And then they include a German word, which is like Mundenkeischen Gesellschaft. Okay, so that's okay. Here's the two bullet points. Han quotes and analyzes Baudrillard's conception of power as, quote unquote, viral violence in digital and networked societies. Han uses Baudrillard as a foil or springboard to critique traditional immunological, that's in quotes, models of negativity, arguing instead that contemporary systemic violence operates through hyperpositivity rather than the classic binary opposition of self versus other. Dude, I am not smart enough to understand what the F that thing just said.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. This is one of those things that's mostly, I think you'll get it once you see how Han uses positive and negative.
Let's go.
So it's not like you normally you'd be like positive, awesome, negative, no good. Okay. So
that was a great impression of me, by the way.
Positive for Han is, you could call it excessive sameness, right? And so the positive is this sense in which that in our culture we are increasingly allergic to the negative, which he means the other or the against, right? And Han and any developmental psychologist will basically go like, well, you know how you become a human? You come as a baby, you don't know that you're different from your parents. There's this whole experience of coming to know you're not your mom, right? And there's all of your like growth of self, the growing of your interiority is encountering otherness, difference, the against. It comes with pain and struggle, all these things where the limits of oneself run up against something else or someone else. And what we've done is created a world where we're like, why would you want to do that when you could have a narcissistic mirror or the hell of the same or excess positivity. So what Han's doing is pointing out for that there's this the positive, the hell of the same, that your algorithm gets to know you and hands you back what you want. It observes you and tracks you and then says, here you go, right? There's a kind of obscenity to transparency. And that's where he picks up Baudrillard's concept of the obscene or the implosion of the social, where, Baudrillard's definition of obscenity is like a state where everything becomes immediately transparent and exposed to the raw and inexorable light of information communication. And both of them are agreeing that like this totalizing of transparency destroys the aura, spaciousness, otherness of existence, and the distance required for genuine aesthetic or erotic in the eros sense, not the but also that. But Baudrillard makes this point, right? That seduction relies on secrecy, the veil, the intuition in the other that remains forever a secret, the mystery of the other's subjectivity. And Hahn is like, yeah, that's what I agree, that's what we're ruining. And then Hahn picks that up and goes, yeah, our culture's becoming pornographic. We're profaning the eros, profaning the mystery of the other. We run around being absolutely visible, and which Baudrillard calls like perpetually engendering of the same by the same, is the Baudrillard line. We're reading this next week in class, so I pulled up my notes where it said there was this fun line. So Hahn agrees basically that digital media and capitalism function pornographically, right? Hell of the same, positivity, by turning everything into an explicit, deculturalized commodity on display, stripping away narrative tension and such. And so that's when he's talking about the viral violence line. For Hahn is there picking up Baudrillard's like media theory, where he's like that in Baudrillard's playing on like media is the performance of the death drive, right? That's what Baudrillard's doing. And that modern terrorism for Baudrillard is viral revolt against the death negating capitalist system. That like Baudrillard's like, yeah, a suicide bomber forces a subversive kind of symbolic exchange with death that the system can't withstand. It's Hahn's wanting to go, yes, in part, but that assumes that immunological model that relies on the negativity of the other, the virus or the enemy. For Hahn, what's transformed since he wrote, right, where he covered the first Iraq War, hilarious bit, is that we're post-immunological. The primary threats aren't viral infections from the outside, but psychic infractions like burnout, depression, right? And they're caused by that excess positivity rather than the negativity of an external enemy. And so Hahn isn't like he's disagreeing about Baudrillard's description then. Okay. He's just going, here's what's happened when the transparent society, the surveillance society, gets access to your interiority. You become a narcissist terrorist with an explosive belt. That's one of Hahn's images. Like, he's like, yeah, it is a terrorist, except that you're your own terrorist. Like, capitalism's generating individual narcissists trapped in the hell of the same excess positivity of their existence. And that the Fourth World War that Baudrillard likes to talk about, you know, if we survive the third one, then you get the fourth one, and that's the like, if you survive the age of terrorism, what's next? Yeah. Baudrillard talks about it, and you know, what would be the hidden enemy? What would be the viral enemy? But Hahn goes, the enemy's the self. The self's atrophying ability to encounter the other. The panopticon of that Baudrillard was describing in the 70s is now self-performed by you for the algorithm. Or think back to your discussion of the strata tracking.
Yeah. Strava. Yeah.
Strava. So, yeah, anyway, that's kind of...
Do you know I almost turned it on this week, but I resisted because of these new conversations we've been having. So I rode my bike and did not turn on the Strava. I just rode for the sheer joy of cycling.
Yeah. Though one thing though, tell me, because the Baudrillard stuff came up in the reading this week, for class, I pulled out my Baudrillard notes
Yeah.
Because I used them sometime like in LA, like when I was at the hatchery.
Me too. Yeah.
So one of the elements in Baudrillard.
By the way, reading Baudrillard in Los Angeles is a freaking. It's like Inception. It's like reading about the pig when you are in the belly of the beast. It's the weirdest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I read it in Beverly Hills. That was, I mean, shit, dude, I'm right next to Hollywood and I'm reading Baudrillard.
Yeah. Because, when Baudrillard talks about the disappearance of the real and the social, right? Which you see the correlation with excess positivity gets rid of the real and the social, which all require otherness. And part for Baudrillard, it's the point where we literally get overcome by our own technology, where that line between human beings and machines is fundamentally blurred. So when he talks about the end of the real, reality is no longer grounded on human experience, but reality is defined by which could be, like you said, simulated or copied or Xerox, that kind of thing. Now, imagine that the copy machine or the Xerox machine,
the 3D printer,
is simultaneously the thing you use to orient your life in the world, the thing you use to transmit your life and communicate your life, and the site from which you engage increasingly your interactions with others, right? So that whole like the hyper reality bit, in my mind, Hans thing like could easily just dial up Baudrillard another level, because for Baudrillard the self has to go navigate a hyper real world where simulated images and experiences, Disneyland movies, television, are perceived as more real than real. And for Baudrillard, he's like, that creates a deficit of experience because we're constantly bombarded with spectacular hyper real images. Genuine everyday experiences begin to feel a little bit boring, inadequate, disappointing by comparison. Well, now it's not only the other experiences that fascinate you. You become fascinated with the performance of your own experience. You are producing the hyperreal you and no longer have regular access to you, which for Han, the self happens in relationship with another, both developmentally and such. So like Han, that he gets to, right, Baudrillard's lost self and fragmented identity bit, like, because Baudrillard is like, oh, you think the self is under siege? You've read the existentialists. Baudrillard's like, yeah, it's worse than that. The self isn't just under siege, it's lost. And then what is his example? Fashion is one of his examples. The self's no longer built.
I was going here. Yeah.
The self isn't built through like deep, prolonged spiritual experiences or existential struggles and pain and joy. Identity changes rapidly. So people just try on different personalities, professions, beliefs as temporary kind of fads or ornaments, kind of like changing clothes. And Baudrillard's like, it's normal, for you to have 3 or 4 that you're operating with, depending on what room you're in, which goes back to that Rose's bit about you're adrift or this kind of thing. Amazing. It's all sitting there. And so, it's fascinating that you mentioned that, because I hadn't thought about it until I saw him show back up. But Han, Rosa stuff, there is this resonance, and it's like Baudrillard dialed up, because that mechanism of acceleration, right, and speed, and then the turn to interiority, right, it gets to I wish I remember the quote the student had that I put on the slide last week, but you get to where the world is mute and you're deaf. And you get like, I just imagine if Baudrillard was hanging out with them, they would just
engineered a world with nothing to say and listeners without ears, something like that.
Mm-hmm. So when you think of like Baudrillard's bit about the apocalypse, right? What he calls fatal strategies, the apocalypse has already happened. It's too late to mourn the end of the traditional self or the real world.
Mm-hmm.
The apocalypse of meaning has already occurred, right? He was saying that,
Right.
like thinking about
81.
Yeah, a CNN covering a war, or they have a documentary explaining the 70s. Now,
that was a good documentary. I think it's pronounced documentary.
Okay,
That's a joke. That's a joke.
Like Augustine.
2 quick things. I think it's pronounced Augustine. Yeah.
Tomatoes.
So 2 quick things. Tripp, I'll be honest. My real religion is social constructivism. Like, if I could only study one thing for the rest of my life, it would be social constructivism. I'm fascinated by it. Fashion is the best example of things that are socially constructed. I know people talk a lot about race and gender and all sorts of other things, nationality, all sorts of things, culture, language. But fashion is the easiest way to understand it. So, like, one of my favorite examples is that when the Sears catalog, or maybe it was JCPenney catalog, first came out in color, I think this is around 1926 or 31, somewhere in there. It comes out in color for the first time. And we have a record that pink for baby boys and blue for baby girls, yellow was gender neutral, or could, go either way. And in the years since then, especially after World War II, World War I and II, with what we call the cult of domesticity, washing machines, dishwashers, all that, stuff, technological advancements to get women back out of the factories so that the returning soldiers could have their jobs back. In that whole mishmash, locked in that pink was for girls, blue was for boys. And so that's socially constructed. That's my best example of how something is socially constructed, okay? All of that is to say that where I get freaked out is when all of my favorite things about social constructivism are internalized, and then the algorithm picks them up and represents them to me, and I think I'm enjoying it. So it's been socially constructed, algorithmically absorbed, represented, and I think I'm having fun looking at Instagram. Like, I'm freaking myself out a little bit right now. All right. Can I go to the fourth one? Fourth conversation partner.
Yeah.
All right. My second favorite meme of all time is
3 books and a meme. That's what.
Yeah. 3 points in a poem is every sermon, right? Every podcast, 3 books and a meme. That would be, all right, let's start a new stream, 3 books and a meme. And every week we just we ask AI what we should talk about. Okay. My second favorite meme of all time is that old picture, the Sunday school picture of Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount, the crowds around him. And somebody says to him, "Hey, Jesus, the crowd is requesting that your next miracle be turning all of the raisin oatmeal cookies into chocolate chip cookies." Something like that. I love that meme. Well, the reason I bring that up,
because you like chocolate chip cookies.
Well, yeah, and I stuck with a oatmeal raisin for breakfast. That's my breakfast right there. I wish it was a chocolate chip.
Breakfast of champions.
Yeah, baby. Wake up and rock and roll. Okay. Fourth conversation partner. A 1967 book called The Society of Spectacle by Guy Debord. And in it, according to the Google, argues that the modern capitalist society replaces authentic social life with a pervasive, media-driven world of representation, commodities, and visual imagery. If I could only have one book, this is my number one book. This is the book I would take with me on a plane if I knew that my library was going to burn down and I could only have one book. This is the one I'd take. I love Guy Debord. He's like the Nostradamus for the 21st century. He's a French weirdo who speaks in these bizarre sentences and then a lot of space and then a paragraph and then space and then so he just has these random assertions. It's like talking with Yoda, you know? He's essentially like a mix between Nostradamus and Yoda. So he just says these things without context. There's no paragraphs, no chapters. It doesn't flow. He just blurts things out. And I freaking love it, dude. Because turns out the spectacle. Oh, I just got chocolate on my face. The spectacle is all encompassing. It is ubiquitous at this point. You know, people like to say, like asking a fish about water. They don't, and they never mention it because it's just that's where they live. They swim in it. I mean, I don't like that analogy. I think you should ask fish about water. They probably know way more than we do. But this is the water we swim in, is spectacle. I mean, Trump is spectacle in chief, right? The whole presidency is just spectacle and power, money, power grabs, right? It's a whole grift. It's just spectacle. But so is everything else. I mean, it's why I don't have Trump derangement syndrome, because of course, like it's a no-brainer. The whole effing thing is spectacle. Everything at this point. And we don't even see it anymore.
Yeah,
right.
On Substack, Reverend Carlton made an observation about this. He said, so Trump's lies create Trump's reality because they're more official and therefore more real than you are. And manufactured self displaces human experience, right? Like where there's a whole regime that will just treat whatever he says as if it's true. And sadly, none of those people are in Iran. So it's not working out very well.
Wow.
But you know, where there's like this recreation of reality, because once the lies are treated as real, then they impact material reality, whether or not they're true.
It's so mimetic at this point that I can't even articulate. Like the reason that no one calls this current administration on their lies, and the Democrats don't have the power to do so, is because when the lies come this quickly and are this pervasive, it's all encompassing. It's like trying to lift someone out of the water when you're not standing on the bottom of the lake, right? Like you're floating and then you're going to try and lift someone who's also floating. Like, good luck.
Okay. So I read that the Society of Spectacle a long time ago, but I thought of 3 connection points.
Let's go.
Now, the first one we haven't really talked about yet because It's in a book I didn't have students read, but Hahn has this book called Vita Contemplativa, which is just like the way of the contemplative way. In there, he actually discusses the book Society of the Spectacle, and
get out it.
Yeah, and one of the things he points out is that
I'm ordering this right now.
Our contemporary age has lost the capacity for true festivals. So under capitalism, festivals get commodified into mere events and spectacles that lack a contemplative calmness. And so the kind of specularized society, speculativized, well, you get it.
Okay.
Authentic reality and festiveness of time end up getting replaced by what Debord calls in the book mere publicity of time.
Wow.
Right. And so part of what is undermined in a society of the spectacle is these eruptions of alternative time and festiveness, right? Because some festivals, he's thinking Catholic festivals being eliminated from calendars. Some festivals are these eruptions of celebration where normal expectations, duties, functions move past, right? You make fun of the monarch, you have a big celebration, this kind of thing. And other festivals are eruptions of solitariness, right?
Wow.
Of contemplative time, fasting, these kinds of activity. And so all of them turn into publicity stunts, essentially, right? You're doing it for the gram and tweeting your way through your 40 days of whatnot, that kind of thing. The other two bits were that Hahn engages him when he talks about how politics has been transformed. It's been submitted to first a logic of mass media that prioritize amusement and performance over discourse. And Hahn's it's a politics of the spectacle, which is
what the heck?
Politics of communicative emptiness is Hahn's thing. Because he wants to talk about how contemporary politics has been hollowed of actual ideology or transcendence or solidarity, these kinds of things. And political emptiness is simply filled with distracting spectacle of media theatrics, resentment, affective performance, all these kinds of things. But you would never, the politics becomes empty. So there's not the spaciousness and encounter with the other for deliberative decision-making across difference. And so it is a series of tribal affect circles to get access to the levers of power, either, right, by 50% plus one, or you actually gain a position in democracy to then use the tools against the integrity of itself, which, I don't have to give any specific examples of that. And the other bit is he brings up the Society of the Spectacle in that section when I was talking about Baudrillard and that we have a society of pornography.
Yeah.
He thinks that's the Society of the Spectacle, where images, bodies, human interactions are deculturalized in the sense that they're stripped of their narrative, they're stripped of their mystery, they're stripped of hermeneutic depth, and then you just put it on display, right? And Hahn gives us one bit. He said, a kid today, likely has seen hardcore porn before they've ever had sex.
Oh, right? Yeah. Wow.
And they could not understand in Pride and Prejudice how seeing an ankle just hints at the giant mystery of the other person. And then it calls your whole being out of you, your imagination, the getting to know the person so that little bits of the other's mystery get shared with you. Instead, you make it pornographic.
Yeah.
And
it is simulation and stimulation all the way down.
Yeah.
Right.
And so in it, he goes what the spectacle is the absence of beauty, because beauty involves a slow lingering the spectacle relies on immediate stimulation, the momentary fleeting gleam, and he goes, and then you trade, right? What is it? People's anxiety about sex is performance. Performance is an intimacy category, right?
Wow.
And
this is wild. Okay, listen. My deepest guilty pleasure is the philosophy of Slavoj Žižek. I love Žižek so much. It tickles me somewhere deep down inside. Even if I never got to talk to another human about it, I would just gobble it up. Just num, num, num.
Did you say tickle because of the ticklish subject?
Yes, I did. And the profane, right? So he's very profane. But listen to this. As we've been talking, I got thinking to myself, this is the same thing Žižek addresses in his concept of carnival, because it has become this neutered, sanitized, sterilized version of what it used to be. Because like on Halloween, like we have fake blood and naughty nurse outfits, right? Like it's bullshit compared to what carnival used to be. So carnival is this thing we're talking about. It's that political protest and countercultural excess. It's a temporary suspension of social rules that threaten the established power structure, right? So I'm going to read here for a second. Instead, late capitalist society already functions as a perpetual carnival, and systematic transgressions often serve as an obscene, safe release valve that ultimately reinforces the status quo. So that's the same. That's spectacle, right? That's the same thing. The pornographic, the profane, the excessive, right? It's this neutered, processed, represented, algorithmic simulacra. It's all the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And end of sermon. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Dude, I would have the worst TED Talk ever. People would be like, we want to punch ourselves in the stomach after hearing that.
I don't know. I think you could do one on bikes. You know how like sometimes a TED Talk is simultaneously a story about something specific, and an ongoing analogy.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Hey, by the way, in our new podcast, 3 books and a meme, 2 books I want to make sure everyone knows about. There's a book called Two Wheels Good about the history of bikes. It is fantastic. In fact, I have extra Audible credits. If you want, email me. I will gift this book to you. It's so good. Okay. Two Wheels Good. The other one is my mentor and friend, Randy Woodley, just came out with a new book called What Western Christianity Got Wrong. And you should read it.
Are you going to get him to come hang out on TNT?
I will try. Tripp, he is so into his learning center, Idaho, and so deeply involved in their farm growing food. I will try and get him on. But let me tell you, the last time I sat down with him, he used a phrase I can't use on this because you'd have to edit it out. I will summarize it as he has this new thing he calls white people effery. That's my polished up version of what he says. He is not into white people shit, dude. And as he ages, I think he's getting less into it. And now that he's out of the academy, he's even less into it. I will try though.
Well, we can always do it at a different time.
Right?
Because I bet early morning is a agrarian centered moment.
Yeah, it is. And he writes. I mean, he's a prolific writer. I've never seen anyone write as much as he does. It's wild. This has been fun.
Oh yeah.
I have a benediction when it's time.
Ooh, Bo has a benediction. Now, before you do the benediction, everyone here, you're more than welcome to come join us at Theology Beer Camp. There's like,
Yes, please.
all 20-something tickets left. So
No way.
you should get one.
It's going to be a full house.
Oh yeah. And the house is bigger than previous years. So also you can come hang out with me and Jorg Rieger. Homebrewedclasses.com. We're doing like the history of Christology and how the empire's always tried to claim it, and there's a Christological surplus that keeps sneaking out around. And there's even a week on Anselm. So
whoever that is,
which Jorg Rieger's reading of Anselm is, for those that have a lot of baggage with satisfaction theory.
Yeah,
Jorg Rieger's going to be like, all right. So if I have to talk about it now, I know what to do.
Funny. Hey, Tripp, do you say Celtic or Celtic?
Oh, Celtic, because the Celtics are from hell.
Oh, my Atlanta.
Yeah.
You say Celtic.
Yeah.
Like that cross.
Why would you want to associate, right,
with the
beautiful
Boston
expression of the Christian tradition that was grounded in a mission structure without colonial, violence and armies and exploitation behind it? Why would you want to associate it with the Boston Celtics? That's ridiculous. No, I'm just glad we managed to get through this whole thing without discussing the train wreck of Los Angeles sports currently. You got the richest owner cheating and buying,
really?
like giving money under the table to Kawhi Leonard. Then you got another guy who's running a giant. It's gonna the next big economic crisis is gonna be, in all likelihood, like like Mark Walter, who owns the Dodgers and the Lakers. And he sold the Lakers out of nowhere because people wanted money, and he runs these insurance programs. You're paying in like life insurance money, and then he repackages it, just like in the 2008 crisis. They repackaged all these home loans that were over leveraged, and then bail out the banks. They're doing the same thing with people's life insurance money. So he didn't actually have, like, he's borrowing against himself and loaning money.
No,
it was like, they passed a law to avoid this. Now we're going to do it with people's insurance money. And weird bit, insurance regulation, like, it has this whole support structure legally, but we've never tested anything like this. So, like, if it goes under, what are you going to do with all these people whose, like, insurance policies are tied up in this money? Anyway, but at least it was not the Boston Celtics who benefited financially from capitalism's new way of being a billionaire and giving yourself even more money so you can buy stuff. And
for those who don't know, Jean Baudrillard says that America is the capital of the globe, that Southern California, Los Angeles, is the capital of America, and that Disneyland is the capital of Southern California. So Tripp is literally, in talking about this is all simulacra, right? It's all the same. It's the hyper real. It's the hyper real.
And did it make it into my prayers? Possibly. But if Mark Walters, who sold the Lakers and is selling his portion of Chelsea, like the soccer team, but if he sells the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani in his contract has, like, if Mark Walters leaves, he can opt out of his contract.
This is weird.
You know what would be the worst thing of all time? Would be Shohei to opt out and then go to the Red Sox. Or even worse, the Astros.
Yeah.
Though it's really hard to complain. I mean, the Astros cheated by, like, having buzzers and stuff, like knowing the pitches. They ruined what happened in the game.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty American for filthy rich people to come up with ways of cheating and never be held accountable. That is an American pastime, just like baseball. But it's really depressing. I'm feeling like
it's almost like the Epstein
class.
World
Series count?
It's almost like the Epstein class isn't accountable for anything.
Really?
Yeah.
No. You don't understand. Our president is very against it.
Allegedly.
Like the half of the files that didn't have his name on, totally released. A few slipped
Hey,
out with his name on it, and he unreleased them.
before the benediction, because we're at 159 right now, and I know some stuff's going to get cut because there's no way all of that is making it in there. But
What if I just move everything of the content to the front and then be like, and now here's the introduction.
yes,
Here's the intro.
Yes, that's pretty funny. But before the benediction, I just want to say, Tripp, I am so excited. My life this summer has been pretty rough. So not only am I going through a home renovation, which was forced upon me by environmental circumstances, and I have a full-time job, and I'm opening a community center 30 minutes north of here. I've also had to go to night school for my license, and it's 2 nights a week, but last night was the final night. So all of this is to say, I have not had time. Oh, and the bike ministry. Good God. This is crazy. But I have not had time I know nothing about the news. So the other night, my wife, who's living with her sister, the two of them came over with the puppy so that I could just have some backyard time. And, we could grill and just hang out because I don't have that much human interaction these days. Between the renovation and the night school. Anyway, I'm complaining or humble brag. I don't know which one. Anyway, they came over the other night, and it was so nice to have humans to hang out with in the evening. But the two of them, this happened repeatedly. They would bring up something in the news, and I'd be like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you don't know about the lettuce? I'm like, no, I don't know about the lettuce. Or politics or something. They kept bringing
the lettuce at like, what kind of America are we in where going to Taco Bell could lead you to get in the runs for 2 weeks? Like that is not winning.
I gave up salads for Lent, and I just never started again.
You were like, I love this piety.
I am very pious when it comes to health food. Like I consider a jalapeno poppers a vegetable. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, because I go to that truck stop. You know I love that truck stop. Long story short, Tripp, I know nothing. Like that story you just told about the sports ball news, I didn't know a single, literally, detail or element of that story. I had zero familiarity with any of that.
Well, so Tripp's podcast listening, there's like all the academic-y nerd, the God pods, that kind of thing. And the other half are Dodgers, Lakers, and cigars. So I know I don't even like sometimes I just because I have the apps for the NBA and baseball because we don't have LA TV. Yeah. So I can watch them all or watch like the condensed version when I wake up because they start at like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock on the East Coast. It's when we left California, I realized I watch condensed games most of the time where they show like in 20, 25 minutes, all the action plays, right? And then listen to more total time of podcast at double speed about the game than I actually saw the game until playoffs or they play on the East Coast when I can be awake for it.
There's too many baseball games. Man.
Okay, before you do the benediction, I need you to hear this so you remind me next week.
Okay. Hold on. I thought up another lyric for a fake song somebody could do. When I wake up, I know I want to be the nerd that wakes up next to you. Somebody could do that from the Pretenders.
Yeah. But instead of walk 500 miles, it would be bike, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this past week, my favorite day of the summer. Like, not like, okay, like going to the mountains with my family and stuff like that. But I mean like trip day. The most trip day of the summer is cigar night at our local, the Grasshoppers. And so our cigar lounge has a group area, right? It's sponsored by the cigar lounge and a different
Wow.
cigar brand. This year it was Rocky Patel. Bo, listen to this: $50, you get a buffet
Done. I'm in.
of hamburgers, barbecue, stuff like
Yep.
that.
I
Your
would.
ticket and 3
Oh.
cigars.
What?
So you go to a baseball game. I'm like, oh, low carbs, triple burger with my side item of mac and cheese and barbecue.
Come on.
3 cigars. It was like me, my
Tripp.
dad,
No.
Chaz, remember the Moravian guy
Yeah.
who joined? And he's
Yeah.
on sabbatical, so he's gonna be able to come back over.
Wow.
And then Adam that does Bibliotheca, and he's in my like men's groupish thing. I don't know.
My.
People that do online things that so where it's like
Wow.
simultaneously like sharing stuff you learn about online business things and whatever, like a dad small group. Anyway, 4 of us went. It was glorious, but there's some people from the lounge that aren't in there when I'm there that were at this game, and next to us was 3 generations of a family. One old dude, long gray hair, wearing a Confederate battle cap, shirt, the shirt that says 150 years later, you can see we were right, with the Confederate flag on it. And then his grandson has the black America First hat. Anyway, there's a hilarious interaction between the tables when they asked us to take a picture. Now, the table next to me, there's like 2 together with 8 African American men that I regularly know at the thing.
Unreal.
And they heard my suggestive comments towards them and said, I'm glad you said something like that because I've thought about just walking up and clotheslining them.
Whoa.
The homeboy's wearing a freaking I mean,
Yeah.
dude, he's got big redneck energy, but like but I was just it was like all 3 generations from like that dude to then his grandson who's like mid-20s with an America First black cap like Elon wears.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was an experience, Bo, and I don't even know if I could tell the whole story online, but I'll tell you later.
Okay. I want to I have a blessing for us as we depart. May you embrace the friction of being human. May you prosper in the uncontrollable and the unscripted. May your present expand and contract like the high tide and the low, the full moon and the new, the inhale and the exhale, the summer and the winter of your soul. And I'll see you in Valhalla.